kind of genesis. So, except you're a political propagandist, you can come and say, okay, you want to compare Jonathan's first 2 years with Buhari's first 2 years. No grounds. Thanks.
All right, thank you very much, Dapel. Always a pleasure to have you on the platform. Umar Sani have just joined us. I'm trying to see if I can bring Prof. T.D. Odinkanu to be part of the conversation. But as we do that, let me quickly read out what is going on the timeline and the comment section. Those who are requesting for the mic, there's nothing I can do. My co-host, I'm not sure what happened to him. He's no longer here. So that's the issue, that I can't see you guys. And Victor said, really appreciate you putting out this such platform for deeper and inciting discussion. However, I would like to appeal if you may begin to bring up discussion on topics about what the citizenry needs to do in the midst of all the analysis being done here. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Elisha, for your wonderful question. Those things we have done I did those in 2023 October, and I think the last time Prof was on the Spaces, he spoke about what he believed the citizens should do. And I would appeal to you, if you have not, you can try and go back to Prof. Kanu's page. You can see all those things that he believed that citizens would do. And so that particular space, I recorded it. I can forward it to you. For me, it's left for Nigerians to decide what they want to do. I've said what I believe they need to do in October 2023, moving forward to 2024. So what I'm actually doing right now is assessing what the present government has done. It's left for Nigerian, the opposition in quotes, to do what they believe is right for them. Dapper, you say you're leaving in the next 6 minutes, right?
Yes, please. Thank you.
There's a lot of questions for you, unfortunately. I know you've been.
Yeah, our hands are tied. Sorry.
I know you've been very, very helpful this morning, and to answer some of these questions. Good morning, Umar Sani. How are you doing? I thought I saw him on the platform. Where is he now? Okay, Umar is not responding. Dr. Barry is not responding. That's no other speaker.
Maybe if
I'm responding.
But I said good morning. Didn't you hear me?
I didn't hear you.
Okay, you might need to come closer to your this, and let me repeat myself. Good morning, Umar Sani. How are you doing?
Good morning, mindset. How are you doing, and how is the family?
We are doing very well. We're on Spaces. Everyone is around me, so everybody's part of these Spaces. Pleased to have you on the platform. So I'm not sure when you joined. Sorry, sir?
I say it's my pleasure.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm not sure when you joined. Dr. Barry has spoken a lot about how bad this government has done, and Reynolds and the other speakers, I think maybe you caught up with what Dapel said. What is your assessment of Bola Ahmed Tinubu's 2 years in office?
Well, I must not lie that as an opposition who is interested in seeing that we wrestle power from the ruling party, my interest is more on the failings of the government than on the successes, if any, that were ever recorded by the government. I say this with all sense of sincerity, because the job of opposition is not to sing praises of the ruling party. The job of the opposition is to look for ways and means to ensure that they find the ruling party not suitable to continue as the party in government and in power. Nevertheless, having stated this, my job was made easier because the ruling party did not shame me, so that when I'm talking, I will have been stammering, because every listener will have known that what I'm saying is more of politics than reality. But because the government has given me the necessary weapon to criticize. I must start by saying that the APC government has always relied their agenda, no matter how framed it is, whether it is renewed hope or renewed hopelessness or whatever, is predicated on this three tripod. One, fighting insecurity. Two, promoting economic prosperity. And three, fighting corruption. These are these are a continuation, or let us say that Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration is an offshoot of the Buhari Osibanjo administration, because it is him who said that he will continue where Buhari has stopped. Now, the first salvo was the removal of fuel subsidy. Now, the point is, was subsidy even ever removed? Some people have argued, quite honestly too, that Buhari removed subsidy, but it was supposed to have ended. The, it was supposed to have taken effect at the end of June, but Tinubu made it in May, on May 29th. But the point is, subsequently, with the pressure from the opposition, the government accepted that they have not even removed the subsidy, that they were still paying subsidy. So the question now that arises is, was there any subsidy removal that would have generated, you know, some shock absorbers for that removal by the government? What I mean is, during Goodluck Jonathan, when subsidy was removed, fuel rose from 65, 67 to 97, which is about 30 naira increase in fuel. There was the creation of Shopee, subsidy reinvestment program, an empowerment program, Shopee. And that Shopee, everybody has witnessed the visibility of the success of Shopee in several respects, either in agro-allied, because there were negropreneurs and what have you that additional created under Shopee. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala created some employment opportunities under Shopee. You know, Christopher Kolade, a very top-notch Nigerian, was the head of Shopee. You know, some parts of the money for Shopee was also used for railway projects. These railway projects were the narrow gauge projects, which were all repaired for the purpose of both having a standard and narrow gauge rail line. Some other aspects of the Shopee were plowed into power, that is, to develop gas infrastructure and also complete ongoing thermal power plants like the Kaduna Kidandan Industrial Area 215 megawatts power plant and the Zungeru 900 megawatts hydropower. Some parts of the funds were also used to pay Manitoba for transmission lines. These are things that were very clear and very visible. Now, under this administration, I have tried to interrogate and to question what were the, if there was subsidy, what were the proceeds from that subsidy used for? And I tried to make inquiries. And what came up is that one, it was a generalized statement on agriculture that there was improvement in livestock and other agro-allied uh, projects which were not clearly specified. But it went further to say that this CNG gas was also part of it, that it was given at an affordable rate where Nigerians could access it and then abandon petrol. So, to me, in that respect, it means petrol is for commercial purposes and not meant for Nigerians. Nigerians are only to go and access gas, which is cheaper, which has been made cheaper for them, but abandon petrol. And so the rest of the world should be buying the more expensive things, that will make Nigeria rich. And then Nigerians will now be accessing. What is the success of this CNG gas project? That is also an issue, not even for debate, but an issue for pontification. Again, what came is conditional cash transfer. These are not something that are verifiable. It is only between the government and the beneficiaries. Now, they have argued that they have given 15 million vulnerable Nigerians conditional cash transfer every month. Whether that is true or not is subject to further investigation, because in Nigeria, certain number of people can be induced to come out to say they enjoyed it too, so that the whole nation will now be convinced that yes, that project is working. But if if 15 million Nigerians who are below poverty line are now given that type of assistance, we expect some multiplier effect, so that with those 15 consistently getting that money, about 30 million Nigerians should be now above poverty line, because at least each one of those 15 million people has a responsibility of at least one person that he can lift up the ladder. So it will have defeated the World Bank's, it will have reduced the World Bank's mark of 126 Nigerians in multidimensional poverty line. It will have reduced it. Maybe it will say, okay, yeah, previously it was 126, now it's 90 or 80 or things like that. But nothing has changed. Again, you look at the expenditure of government. Is the expenditure of government targeted towards these three issues: insecurity, economic prosperity, and fighting corruption? No. The expenditure is targeted at incendiary expenses that are of no consequence. Mm, The vice president's residence, which has gobbled 27 billion naira, was a white elephant project, because the vice president, up to now, has even refused to move into the residence. He is still staying at Akinola Aguda House, which is the designated residence of the vice president before the completion of this one. So that house is inhabited by cockroaches, rats, and all forms of rodents, you know, with 27 billion assigned to it. Now, do we need a brand new, do we need an aeroplane, a 737 Airbus for the president? Do we need a yacht as it is now? Do we need Dodan Barracks or the Ikoyi residence of the vice president rehabilitated? Do we need 15 trillion naira coastal road? Is Nigeria desirous of a coastal road? What of the other road from Badagry to say Sokoto that they said, which up till now the cost has not been specified? Are they essential roads? Don't we need to first and foremost rehabilitate our very poor existing road networks to make them pliable and motorable? Do we need, uh, how about all the recoveries by the EFCC? Why are we still borrowing money when we have paid IMF loan, even though that payment was due in April? If we didn't pay, we would have paid penalties. So they had to quickly pay so that they can be eligible to collect more loans from the IMF. So that payment was not in good faith in any case. Again, we are now we are now applying for various loans, various loans from the World Bank and from other financial institutions. $21 billion is one of them. About there are so many others. I can't even remember the loans. And the argument they have always propounded has always been that it is a loan which is targeted at, you know, securing our medium-term expenditure framework. That is, if the medium-term expenditure framework looks at a complete budget and how much it can the country can make and what is required to execute that budget. Now, if you bring that medium-term expenditure framework and you say, okay, we need $21 billion, for instance, and that the sales of our crude oil and other incidental within the year will be within the range of 21 billion dollars, for instance. So we will borrow an amount that will cover for our sales, so that our sales will go into repayment while we have enough financing to finance the budget. That is the argument that has been propounded. But again, in the medium term expenditure framework, there is no specification for how much a barrel of crude that must also be determined should go for before such type of things are formally agreed upon. So to me, it is merely to fund extravagance. That loan that has been passed to the Senate is to not to to balance the scale between medium-term expenditure framework and budget performance or budget implementation. Having said that, I will also look at the commissioning of 30 kilometers out of a total road network of about 700 kilometers. I will start by defining what is commissioning. What do we mean by commissioning? If you check your dictionary, commissioning means putting into use a completed project. I had a discussion with President Goodluck Jonathan. One time he saw me on national television. I was discussing some very fundamental issues that affected his administration. He was very happy, so he called me, and I went to his house. No, I went to his office. That was my first time of going to his office outside the villa. So we were talking, and then he was telling me. I said, then I asked him, why didn't you commission the Kaduna Abuja rail line? Because we have almost finished everything. The only thing we were waiting for were the coaches to arrive for them to be put into commercial use. He said no. The reason why he didn't commission it is because, of course, there were trains that we will use for the purpose of the commissioning. There were train heads and there were some coaches, but very few. But what he wanted is to commission and the thing to continue working, not for him to commission and the thing stops. And then Nigerians will be asking, was this project not commissioned? Why is it no longer functional? So if you take 4.2% out of 100% of a stretch of road network and you commission, the idea is to put Nigerians on notice. It is not really a commissioning. It is to put Nigerians on notice that this is the quality of the job we are doing, and this is the amount we are expending can be justified by the quality of the work. Look at it. But it's not entirely to put the road into total use, because you can no longer take the coastal road from the Lagos end and then just arrive at the Calabar end. It's not possible. So they are just trying to tell us we are working, and this is where we have reached, and we are going to ensure that we finish this job, so that you don't have you can't tell them that they are not doing nothing, and they're telling you are doing something. But that thing they are doing even itself, let us even examine it. Is it what Nigerians want? Is it what is good for Nigeria? No, it is what is good for Lagos, because the majority of the road network is in Lagos. The Calabar end of the road is minute compared to the Lagos end. So indirectly, I'm developing Lagos because I'm from Lagos. Now, again, let us examine the economy. How is the economy faring? Up till now, we have not heard that investors are coming into Nigeria. Okay, mindset has reminded me that time is of the essence. I was trying to dissect the whole matter, but let me just rush and say, banditry has not abated. Boko Haram has even become more daring now. There was even a test attack on the Mogadishu barrack in Abuja, although we tried to downplay it to say that it's one man that took an explosive and put it in his pocket, and the thing was trying to explode. I don't know how in a quarry. I don't know how explosives used in a quarry, which is dynamite, can be put in pocket and then it will explode, because dynamite must be, you must enable them either through using matches, or you use maybe lighter or some light, some to enable it. And if you have seen the video, you will have seen that the police that were collecting the body of the man, when they brought him into the vehicle, they said this is where he strapped the explosive. They showed his belly and said, look at the injury. That's where he strapped it. So there was an attempt at Mogadishu Barracks. Now, coming to the issue of corruption, well, we all know that there was no any fight against corruption. If there was fight against corruption, you know, the fight should have started from the APC, because Yahya Bello should have been an example that they should be able to cite as a fight against corruption. So the fight against corruption is just a mirage. It's something that they are using to they are not even pretentious to say we are fighting corruption. They are only making headlines out of it, just for the purpose of making headlines for the international community to notice. But in any case, in my own entire assessment, I will say that Bola Tinubu's administration in the last 2 years, in spite of all the promises made, the promises of the promises of autonomy for local governments, the promises, all those promises that were made for us to clap have now become extinct. So, in my assessment, I will say that they deserve 20% from me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Umar Sani, for your wonderful submission. Because of time, I've got a lot of questions I would have loved to ask you, but we don't have enough time for me to ask those questions, because you said a lot of things. One would expect you ordinarily. You're a member of the PDP anyway, so you would want to say things that will align with your political party or your belief. But then again, one question I have for you, please, because of time, is yes, a lot of people say that the subsidy has not, removing the subsidy is a bad thing, and this and that and that. But then again, he has argued, Bola Ahmed Tinubu has argued, that the governors in the state has collected more money than any other time. Do you agree with that?
You see, collecting money is dependent. It's just like what the if you have been following my timeline on X, you will discover that I made an analysis of a current milestone that the administration has said they have achieved through the Nigerian Customs and Excise. Now, the Comptroller General of Customs said that in the first quarter of this year, they have been able to make 1.3 trillion, the largest collection in the history of collections in the Nigerian Customs Service. And I made some analysis, and those analyses I brought out that the largest collection in the history of the Nigerian Customs was made by Diko Inde Abdullahi, when in 2014 he collected 994 uh, billion, 994 billion naira. But in the in the customs, they have what is called their assessment is based on cost, insurance, and freight, which is done in foreign denomination. So if you at that time, dollar was 172 naira to naira, 172 naira to a dollar. So when I converted it, that's yearly collection. If you convert it to the current rate of naira at the moment, is 7.6 trillion naira. So if he is collecting 1.3 trillion in the first quarter, that is, first quarter means 4 months, and in a year we have 12 months, which means in the whole year he will have collected 3.9. And that one is a yearly collection, which is, when converted to current rate, will have been 7.6 trillion as against quarterly collection. Now, what I'm trying to say is, if governors, if he's telling you governors have received, at what cost are they receiving? And will that money have done what the Naira would have done previously before he came in? It is not about you lumping money with the governors. It is what that money can do. The purchasing power of the money. That is what is most important. So to me, I think it's a flawed argument, and that argument should not stand.
Sorry, I do apologize. Omar, thank you for your submission. I'm working at the same time as I'm hosting this specific, hence I'm trying to see if we can round up quickly. Now, you work with the administration of the former governor, the former president, Goodluck Jonathan. Um, in 2014, he was quoted to say that 13,000 Nigerians were killed by Boko Haram only in the northeast by Boko Haram. Now, in coming up to Buhari, we have about 160 something that were killed. Sorry, 60 something that were killed. In the last 2 years of Tinubu, according to Amnesty International, over 10,000 have been killed. Looking at it from the sorry, my mind is somewhere else. Looking at it from security point of view, do you think assessing Buhari and drugs like Jonathan and Bola Tinubu's security infrastructures in terms of coping the insecurity in Nigeria, do you think Bola Tinubu has not done bad? Umar Sani, please go ahead as I'm continuing with my work.
You see, it is too hasty. Amnesty International has brought out the truth. And once again, I've made a comparative analysis, and I've examined all aspects of that report of Amnesty International. If you look at that report, it didn't say, it's not talking about 10,000 plus that died throughout the period of the Bola Tinubu. It is talking about extrajudicial killings by the Nigerian army. It's not talking about those people who were killed in following the exercise of their rules of engagement. Because Amnesty International does not report deaths that occurred due to use the correct use of their rules of engagement. They report violations. So these were violations of over 10,000 plus. And the NSA refuted it, but without figures. He just dismissed it. And if you know how Amnesty International gathers their facts, you will agree with me that they are not frivolous in exercising their duty. They have so many. They gather through. They have through imaging. They even use drones. They use so many things to be able to get their facts. They interview people at the hospital. They don't just sit down and manufacture figures. And even when they release their figures, it is tentative. It's not substantive. When you argue it and you bring your points, and they agree with you, they will amend their figures to tally with your observation. that those things you observe are true and they reflect, the correct situation. So, to me, I'm not. We are not saying we are not talking about people who were killed in combat. We are talking about those people that the military were killing, outside their route of engagement. That's what that report is talking about.
All right.
And
All right.
yes, and I believe that Amnesty International stands to be corrected up to now.
All right. So, Umar, thank you. Do you have the numbers of individuals who have lost their lives due to insecurity in Nigeria? Let's leave what the ones that the military killed, as you said that Amnesty International didn't get it right in that respect. Do you have the numbers of the individuals killed by terrorists during this period, the last 2 years of Bola Ahmed Tinubu? Do you have the numbers?
You see, the numbers are not readily available because, like I mentioned in my expose that I wrote, Nigerian government authorities don't like to release figures of casualties in combat, or except it becomes absolutely very necessary, or they are nudged by the other side. If, for instance, terrorists now claim that we have killed more than 100 soldiers, then maybe the Nigerian military will come out to say no, they are only 67. That's when you get the figure. But they will not just ordinarily come out to tell you that in the Marte combat that happened, we lost 100 soldiers. They will never come out and tell you that. So you really cannot factor how many people were actually killed, because you are hoping on. You can see now, because of strategic misalliance, you know, and they are because they are the all agencies of government are not in sync with each other. You see, uh, NEMA is saying something, FCDA is saying something, and police is saying something. That's how you get.
Omar, are you still with us? Hello? Okay, it appears Umar is on the speaker section, but he's not saying anything. So let's see. Sorry, am I still audible? We don't have any other speaker, only Umar Sani is on the speaker section. Please, if you can, any other person on the platform, if you can hear me, please, can you indicate by using any emoji you can, just to let me know that you can hear me? Hello? Okay. What's going on here? Let's see. Can anybody hear me? Okay, we've lost Umar Sani. He's no longer on the speaker section. I need somebody to come on the speaker section so we can continue the spaces, but there's nobody on the speaker section to join for us to continue. Hopefully Umar will rejoin. I'm trying to see if I can bring Prof up, but I think it might be that he's busy. Umar is no longer on the platform, right? Okay, that's very funny because he has not answered my question. My question to Umar Sani is not about the soldiers that have been killed. I'm talking about ordinary Nigerians that have been killed by terrorists. Umar has not answered that question. I would have loved for him to come up to answer that question, but he's not responding to it. This is my problem. This is my problem with the so-called opposition. And I know a lot of people don't feel comfortable when I speak about this thing. APC, if the APC would happen to be in the opposition, they would have given us numbers of individuals who have lost their lives, right? In the last 2 years. APC would do whatever they can to make sure they get those numbers. This has nothing to do with soldiers. I'm talking about the people that have lost their life in Plateau State, in Benue State, in Sokoto State, in Nasarawa State, in the Southeast, in Imo State, in Anambra State, Nigerians have lost their life. APC will combine this thing together and say, guys, this is what is going on right now. This is how many people we have lost in the last 2 years of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. APC will do that because they did it in 2014. By February 2014, by September 2014, they started putting numbers. By 2015, they came up with numbers about 15,000 Nigerians losing their life. What are the oppositions doing? What are the so-called opposition doing? Absolutely nothing. I know you guys don't like to hear this side of me, when I speak about it, but I'm not going to be called by anybody not to speak the way I feel like speaking on these platforms. You see, I was hoping Umar Sani would have answered that question. It's one thing Bola Tinubu has not done well. What has the opposition done to expose what he has not done? There were killings everywhere, but we don't have the numbers. We don't have the numbers from the opposition. 29th of April, 29th of March, one would have expected to see all these things from here and there. These are the people that have lost their life. Put it out there in the face of Nigerians for them to see how many people have lost their lives in the last 2 years. Absolutely nothing like that happened. Absolutely. And then, but I wish everybody well. Hopefully, one cannot continue to cry more than the brave in the sense of the opposition. Guys, it's been a very interesting conversation. Okay, I think Omar is back again. Let's see if I can bring him up, if you want to respond to this. Omar, you're back. He dropped again, so it is from his side, not from my side.
No. Yes. Sorry, myself. I did not drop my. I didn't know that my charge has already finished, so it just went off. I had to plug it now.
Okay, are you?
Hello?
Okay, that's fine as long as it's from your end, because a lot of people always feel like when.
No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's from me.
Okay, good.
It's not from you.
Did you get
the? Just went off.
Did you get the question I asked
Yes,
you?
yeah, I got you. You see, you are saying I didn't answer your question because you are talking about casualties, not soldiers. And when I was talking about every life matters, whether soldier or individuals. Any person we lose is a Nigerian, and once we lose a Nigerian, he is part of the campus. Now, we are talking about general loss. Now, if we are talking about general loss, then maybe we have to now substitute certain things. Is it loss due to insecurity or losses, general losses?
Because sorry, if I may, in
Mokwa, about 200 people died. 200 and missing.
Sorry, if I may, Omar, it has to do. I mean, it has nothing to do with those the one that were called by natural causes and everything. It has to do with insecurity. Do you have the numbers of Nigerians that have lost their life in the last 2 years due to insecurity? Do you have the numbers?
Well, as at the last count that we have tabulated in the last 2 years, which was also reported by government, is about 37,000 people that died. The last, it was initially they said 32,000, and then they gave it was up to 37,000 in the last 2 years. So if by the way these things are going, in the next 2 years, maybe it will be up to about 70 or 70 something thousand people that will be killed.
Hello.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Okay, I'm trying to see where you get. They said it's about 30-something thousand. Then if we have to calculate it with it now,
this has been reported.
Okay. Let me move. You see, this is the thing, right? I've always said this, and I'll continue to say. A lot of Nigerians, some people on this platform, this is the first time of them hearing such figures. If some people, I mean, if any other person have had that figure of Nigerians have lost their life, that's almost 70,000 Nigerians in the last 2 years, that has nothing to do with natural death and everything, they will be like, wow. But the problem here, Umar Sani, is Why is it that it's not being put out there for people to see how much these guys have not taken the issue of insecurity seriously? Why haven't that happened? Omar, please don't tell me your battery is dying again, because I want you to respond to this.
I don't know. I don't know what you mean by why it has not been put out there. Are you now referring to whether we as individuals who are in the opposition have not put out those figures, or you are expecting that political parties should have put out those figures, or what do you actually mean?
You, as the persons in the opposition, why haven't you guys put it out there?
Mine said I put out.
No,
I will direct you. I will direct you to my timeline. You will see it. I put it down there. I got the correct figure and I put it down there.
Umar.
So it is not. That's what I'm asking you, whether you are talking about political parties or you are talking about individuals.
Political party is part of is the opposition, isn't it? Now you put it out there on your Twitter handle. Some persons on this platform, some of them follow you, some don't follow you, right? So I mean, the way Twitter have done their algorithm, sometimes I don't even see your tweets, right? But the point here is this: during the time APC were fighting Goodluck Jonathan, I mean, 2 years down the line, one would have expected not only yourself, maybe those who happens to be the spokesperson of the political parties will be on the national TV, reading this thing out, that one would have expected that there would be something like akin to a documentary calling these figures, because 70,000 people is not, based on what you've said, it's not 70,000 chickens. Sorry, right? This.
Yes.
Yes. So one would have expected, this, as we are coming to the 2 years of this administration, one would have expected things like this. This is why when I speak about it, people feel uncomfortable about it, but it is what it is. I know you're not the MPS of your political party. I know you're not the spokesperson. You're doing something individually, which I do acknowledge and I respect that. But if I talk about the MPS now that he's not doing enough, your MPS of your political party, if I talk about the other political party, people get upset about it. And I'm not going to stop saying it until things are done the right way, right? 2027 is fast approaching. And Nigerians, a lot of people on this platform listening to you are kind of like, are you saying that 70,000 people have lost their lives due to insecurity? How? We don't know about it. It's because it's not being put out there by the opposition.
You see, mindset. These figures are there. Perhaps your mindset, which is your name, has not gone there. If you take a look at the general statistics that even the National Bureau of Statistics have been putting out, the last updated statistics they put out was that in various violent related cases in Nigeria, violent, including insecurity, they are putting it's about 614,000 people that died within the last 2 weeks. Not insecurity. That means anything that was violent, not by natural causes, not no. They and they were forced. Some of the statistics they put were they were forced to would bring them down. The MBS. Now, these are reliable statistics that we can quote. We don't want to quote, do something like the APC, that their figures are merely propaganda. At that time, Nigerians were ready to believe anything because Nigerians wanted a change they didn't know would result into this. So they were ready to accept anything. Now Nigerians are more circumspect. They ask the right questions. They interrogate issues. Nigerians don't want to hear any figure. It must be backed by credible evidence. For instance, if I want to speak and I want to speak about military violation of their rules of engagement. I will cite the figures as provided by Amnesty International and say Amnesty International said so on so date. They published it in their journal that this is what's happening. Not for me to go and just begin to compute figures and say, okay, last week in Plateau State, 57 deaths. Okay, let me record it. They reported about 16 deaths in Edo. Some Hausa people were killed 16. Let me record it. In Sokoto, about 20 deaths happened. You can't get the right figures. And even when you get the right figures and you bring it, it will be contested. Nigerians are now more wiser. This is not a new beginning. This is not our nascent democracy. Our democracy is evolving, and Nigerians are asking the right questions. They are interrogating leadership. They want to get the right things. Even when they don't like you, and somebody is trying to concoct figures against you, Nigerians will still ask the question: how did you arrive at this figure? So we have to be very careful. Mindset. It is not about bringing up figures, displaying figures. We have to also be very careful that those figures we are bringing out is defendable.
So Umar, I don't have a problem in people bringing out the figures, right? I've never asked anybody to come up with them wrong figures or manipulate figures to make sure they're able to sell something. What I'm saying is, let's say the figures is only 2 individuals that lost their life, which it's a very sad thing for one person or 2 individuals to lose their life, right? Now, what my point here is this: based on what you said on this platform, how many Nigerians knew about this thing? I would tell you there's a possibility that 65% of Nigerians have no idea, based on the figure that you mentioned, that up to 70,000 Nigerians have lost their lives, right? Based on what you said. Now, the thing I'm saying here, Umar, is very simple. Okay, and I know you don't feel comfortable about it, and I know others don't feel comfortable about it. Why didn't, or why haven't, not you as a person, I'm just talking about the opposition in general, took the advantage of using the technology that we have available right now, do a short documentary about, put it out there. One can put it out there. It's very simple. So within the last 2 years of this administration, are you aware that 5 Nigerians have lost their life due to insecurity? Put it out there. It will make a lot of difference.
Okay, let me respond quickly. First and foremost, I appreciate your arguments as to whether there is nowhere truth can make somebody comfortable. Once you spin out the truth, it is not intended to make anyone comfortable. But because we are in an intellectual discussion here, we have to accept those challenges you pose and then try to respond to them, whether they make us uncomfortable or not. And where we cannot respond to them, we spell out our feelings, our inability to respond to them. But succinctly put, it is the same this administration, this Bola Tinubu administration, which daringly and irresponsibly came out to say that Nigerians have short memory. This was the spokesman of the president who is saying that Nigerians have short memory, which is also the truth. If you do a documentary to show how Tinubu has failed in the first 2 years, and you put it, and everybody in Nigeria knows, when it comes to the last 2 years, where it matters, the ones you did in those first 2 years will have been abandoned. Nobody will even remember them. They may not even form part of the discussion because a new spin will come up to overtake those ones. And then some of the strategies of opposition politics in Nigeria is that you don't come out to condemn things that are repairable. You come out to condemn those things that cannot be repaired. Although the general aim of governance is for us to have a better country. So if the government of the day is not doing well, and in those areas that the government is not doing well, you come out to criticize and say constructively, do this, and you will succeed. And they take it as an advice and they do it. It is for the overall interest of the nation. But in Nigerian style politics, it is the failure of the administration that is paramount of the opposition, not the success. And if you find a failure, maybe deaths, and you now come out to say, sometimes you have to be careful because the issue of security is so sensitive and so germane that if you are criticizing Tinubu for failing in curbing insecurity, you are indirectly demoralizing our members of the armed forces and saying they are not doing well. And the essence of the involvement of members of our armed forces in curbing insecurity is to stop these terrorists, insurgents, bandits, criminals from accessing us. Because if Boko Haram's aim and target is to finish our military, if they are able to subdue our military, they will be able to capture the nation. So, as a citizen, you are now left with two options. Will you criticize our military and demoralize them in spite of all the performances they are exhibiting in the field, or you will criticize them not minding whether they are demoralized or not, and risk further consequences. Some of these considerations, issues are taken into consideration and into concept. It's not everything that you criticize. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Umar Sani, for your response to my question. You see, this is where I have a problem. Um, I do respect the fact that yes, I ask question that some people might not be comfortable with, and sometimes it is what it is that I have to ask this question. If we're not going to, as a people, call out the damages that have been done, that have made to the people of Nigeria, that have made to us as a people, that the killings both from the southeast, northwest, north central, what have you, and everywhere. If we are not going to call out that this is not right, just because we are going to we're not going to, we're going to, I'm trying to find a word to express what we are going to dampen the spirit of the military. What's the point of having an opposition? Because APC as an opposition didn't, permit me to use the word, they didn't care how much the soldiers feel about it. They were regular numbers. One of the reasons they took out, they managed to, they succeeded in 2014, 2015, was the fact that they hit everything on insecurity. They talked about how people have been killed. You knew what happened in Abuja. There was bomb here and there. APC, as an opposition, didn't hide the fact they were bringing these things out for the world to see, not only for Nigerians to see that how incompetent, in their own words, your former boss was, that he wasn't able to secure Nigeria. So if you as an opposition are going to have mercy upon them and said, okay, we're not going to do it because we're going to dampen the spirit of the soldiers, that hence we're not going to come up with numbers, I have nothing else to say. But everybody has to do what they believe is the right thing. But
No, no. Let us let us put things in perspective. You see, the propaganda of the APC that you have always been hammering on was a one-off thing. It was done in 2014, 2015. It's one-off. Their propaganda has never succeeded subsequently, and they took advantage of a particular situation. Number one, that was the first time Nigeria was engaged in such form of terrorism, insurgency, and insecurity. And the government of that day was deficient in two things. In the provision, they were hammering. They were not hammering on our military, because at that time it was not our military that were fighting that war. it was mercenaries we got, the South African mercenaries that were fighting the war. So they were not afraid to counter that our effort, because there was no Nigerian military to demoralize. Even though the Nigerian military were involved, but they were not deeply involved, and we all know that. Now situations have changed. When Buhari came, he said, "Okay, we don't want mercenaries. Let the Nigerian military take over. Then let the Nigerian military be in charge." There's a difference. Now our criticism will now move not not from the performance of the soldiers on the battlefield. Our criticism will move for not supplying them the necessary equipment to prosecute the war. So that we don't blame the soldiers for the failing, but we blame the government for not for lack of provision of the necessary equipment that will be used to prosecute the war. And this is what is going on. Thank you, myself.
All right, thank you very much, Omar Sani. Always a pleasure to have you on the platform. So, all in all, you've accepted that Bola Tinubu's administration the last 2 years has failed, and there's nothing you can say, okay, I'm going to give him 1% mark here. Absolutely nothing. Omar, is there anything you think he has improved, even 1%?
I didn't say he's caused you. By my assessment, I said I will give him 20%. So, if a student gets 20%, I don't know the classification now, but during our time, when you get 20%, you have gotten an E. Although you have marks, but you have failed. In the Russian system of grading, nobody gets zero. No matter, even if you are a student in that school, you enter examination hall, you don't write anything on your paper, you just submit it, you have automatic 5% waiting for you. You will score 5%. Nobody gets zero. So being the government of the day, you can't give them zero, because the government has failed, but there is no, it has not break down, irretrievably, that nobody can retire. That's why we are now advocating for, say, let coalition come and do the repairs. That's why we are saying let our parties come and do the repairs, because we know that there are still room for repairs by other competent people. It's just about incompetence that is running the government. Thank you.
How did he come up with the 20%? Where are you awarding him the 20%? Is it in terms of, give me an idea how you come up with the 20%.
Well, as an examiner who is supposed to mark scripts and come up with arguments, I will not say that since Tinubu became president, that there has never been any milestone that he has attained. Not any. It may be subject to criticism, but it's a milestone. If you settle our IMF debt, although your reasons are clandestine, but you have settled it. It does not remove the fact that you have settled the IMF loan. So I will not say that you didn't settle it. I will only say that you settled it because you want to be able to get an opportunity to collect more loans. These are some of the things I mean. I don't want to pontificate on all other matters. Just for you to understand what I'm saying. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Unfortunately, guys, we have to end the space because there's no other speaker, only Umar Sani, and we don't have any co-host. Our co-host this morning, for some reason, I don't know what happened. He's no longer on the platform. So there are 8 individuals requesting to be part of the conversation, but there's no way I can bring them up. as being part of the conversation. We will continue to speak. We'll continue to talk. Whether it makes a difference or not, we'll continue to make sure that we, use the little avenue that we have and speak to those who listen and those who care not to listen, who probably will feel that all this talk, nothing is coming out of it. But we'll continue to do that. Thank you, Umar, and a big thank you to Dapel. Please, guys, if you have the opportunity, Umar said he put out a tweet about some of the things that he mentioned here. Umar, am I right, sir?
Yes.
Is there any
It's on
way,
my camera.
okay, before we round up, are you able to put it on the Jumbotron? Are you able to do that?
Well, let me disappoint you. I don't even know how to put something on the Jumbo.
Are you willing to pay so I can help you to do it?
I'm a chief consultant.
No, I don't do free work anymore. It doesn't matter who is available. I mean, nothing like free work. I don't. Frankly, even if my wife was to ask me anything to do with politics right now, what do I think? She has to pay me. That's where I am right now.
You know what I will do? Man said,
Yes.
me and your wife, we will speak in tongues.
Okay.
I will
All right.
speak Hausa to her, and she will
Yeah.
respond to me in Hausa, and then we will force you to do what you don't want to do.
Okay. All right. Let's see how that works out, right? I mean, don't worry. Now, speaking Hausa or speaking any other language would not help you guys. But what I would say is, Umar, please, can you put the tweet on the comment section? Let me see if I can put it on the Jumbotron for you, please.
Okay. All the
Yeah.
tweets or only some of them?
I mean, you mentioned there's a place you said you said that the numbers and some of the things the questions that I asked you say that you have spoken about them, you have tweeted about it. So I wanted to put it on the Jumbotron for people to see. Or if it makes life easier for every other person on this platform, we have over 200 people who they will go to your timeline and
No, they can go to my timeline.
Okay, that's fine. Guys, I'm really enjoying this conversation, and I was hoping that we have more Nigerians who want to speak on this, but we don't really have more people to be part of this. I'm not going to make Umar Sani a co-host, and I have my reasons. It would appear that he's going to side on the people. So if there's any other person who want to be part of the conversation, let's see if we can take another 30 minutes, because I'm actually on break right now from work as we continue the conversation. So Umar, we don't have any other person. Let me continue with you then, since there is no other person here to continue the conversation with. Let's see. I have a question for you, sir. I'm just gonna bear with me 1 minute. Please, guys, if you're requesting for the mic, leave the spaces and request again. I will bring you up to be part of it. So Umar, let me read out some of the things that Bola Ahmed Tinubu's team has put out as part of his achievement in the last 2 years. They talked about they said they have eliminated over 13,500 terrorists eliminated, right? These are the numbers. And they spoke about 70,000 minimum wage payments, and they spoke about over 10 billion FS debt cleared. They said 10 billion. And another thing they put out here is okay, sorry, let me go back to this because I don't want to misquote anybody. Okay, they said net foreign exchange reserve up from $3.9 billion in 2023 to 23.11 billion. That's a lot of margins. Umar, are you listening?
I'm listening, myself.
And you see, the thing is, they did this on infographic. They put it on thing, and they're sharing it everywhere. It's on every WhatsApp group, not every WhatsApp group. They are sharing it to people, and people are reading these things. This is one thing I was saying. If the opposition has done something like this to counter this, don't you think it's a good thing? But you're saying your argument.
Okay, let me tell you something I did. Some of the information you may be looking for on my timeline, you may not get it directly on my timeline. It may have I may have written it as a response to a false propaganda. For instance, I will give you one of the responses I give to one Ayofe. Ayofe is an APC propagandist, always revealing out falsehood. Now, he said that over 104 billion has been disbursed to about 600,000 beneficiaries by NEL Fund. But NEL Fund countered it, and Nigerians didn't even take notice of what NEL Fund said. NEL Fund said no, that they did not spend 104 billion, they spent only 32.9 billion. And the number of beneficiaries were about 1,000 plus. Or no, 192,000, not 600,000. That's what NEL Fund put out there. And then they said that they have paid 1.5 billion euro bond. And I went to the data of DMO, to DMO's website. And DMO did not report that, which means it's a lie. And I put it out there, and I said, this is from DMO, that no such data exists. And they said some states have even paid their own, all their debts. In fact, they quoted Jigawa as having said they have paid 90%. But in the DMO's database, nothing like that. And I put it out there. So some of the lies, we have been able to counter it, but we choose our battlegrounds. Those ones that are, we know those ones that are being spoon-fed from the villa, or those ones that they have a WhatsApp group and they post it to them, and then they come out and post it. We attack those ones. So once you attack those ones, you kill their spirits, and then they will be looking for one way or the other again to spin another lie, because you have already destabilized them. Now, these are some of the things I wish to let you know, that we have been doing that. And like I told you, they brought all, they said there is one Chinese loan that they have paid. And I looked at DMO was post. I work with, in our office. DMO was under the office of the vice president. So DMO comes to brief us. So I know how DMO works, and I know their office, and I know their website, and I know how to look for information from their website. And there was nothing like Chinese loan that was repaid, but they were all put out there as lies. They combined truth and lies all together. There were those ones they mentioned, some of them were correct, which I acknowledged. I said, these ones you mentioned, I've fact checked them, they are correct. But these ones are not correct. This was, and the person did not even respond to me. And all the people who were on his own timeline did not argue with me. Nobody argued with me, because they knew they added falsehood to the truth, so that Nigerians will see a lot of things being done when some of them are lies.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Masani. I like the fact that you've accepted that you're speaking on your own behalf. You're not only speaking for your. Sorry, let me mute your mic, please. Thank you. You're not speaking on behalf of your party, because some of these things that you've mentioned is something one would have expected your NPS, National Publicity Secretary of your party, to speak on these things. I mean, he doesn't really come on national TV anymore, or he doesn't really put out things that one would expect for him to put out there. You're an individual, you're a member of that political party, but I must tell you this. Your party, in terms of publicity, media, is just not, there's nothing there, right? That's my own opinion. I'm not saying you as an individual. I'm talking about your party and the leadership, or, the opposition leader in your party. Media-wise, they have not done well. This is my own opinion. Personally, for you, yeah, you're trying your best to put things out there, but that's not enough. If it means for them to bring someone like yourself into the team, so be it. But they need to, up their game. Look at the numbers you're putting here. Look at the figures you're putting here. Look at the things you're saying you're doing. And a lot of people don't know about these things. And you have an NPS, and you have people who don't want to tell themselves the truth. Bola Ahmed Tinubu has not performed as much as people have wished for him to perform. But in terms of media, he has performed very well. He has used the media to cover up all the things that people, will say he has not done well with. They are using it, they're utilizing it very well. The opposition, who are supposed to be in full front of this thing, are lacking behind. This is the only thing I will continue to say to the opposition every time we open space, whether it's part of the conversation. Before we round up, I will continue to hammer on it. Things has to change. And Umar, go to your party or your leaders and tell them that things has to change if you guys want to do anything better. But continue to do what you're doing. And it's been a very interesting conversation. I want to thank you. I want to thank you. They're saying, myself, don't close the spaces. What else do you want me to say? I don't want to be the one speaking before you say, oh, he doesn't allow people to speak. There's absolutely no other person on the platform. It's only myself and Umar. If I have other speakers, I will continue because I've just finished for work for now until I go back for in 3.